Hello, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, and those of unspecified genders. My name is Bob, and today we're going to be having a very special episode of Dogecast. With me, I have G-Tune, Panda, and Ash, and we're going to be discussing the events surrounding YouTuber Etika and his recent passing, along with general subject matter on suicide. Just as a precursor, on the screen, you're going to see a link to every suicide prevention hotline across the globe. So if you ever feel like you're at your edge and you don't feel like you can make it anymore, remember to just take that chance, call the hotline. Your life is worth living. So let's get on with today's episode. So to start off, let's just talk about the events kind of surrounding, like before Etika. You know, like before, like let's start in 2018 when Etika had his first breakdown. I don't have much information on that myself, so I'm need somebody else here to describe the event, describe his first breakdown. Panda, do you have any information on it?
Hello, my name is Panda, and I really don't know much about the breakdown because, like, at the time, I really wasn't on Twitter as much, but like, I was like too busy playing Fortnite and stuff. So all I got from it was that one day, oh man, look at Etika, he's just doing his usual hijinks. Everyone thought it was a joke. Then stuff kind of got serious. Oh no, wait. Okay, yeah, I understand now. So basically, what happened was like, okay, this is coming from my perspective. Of what happened? So like, I was just getting my haircut and stuff, and suddenly I see all these like videos coming up on it from Etika's channel and stuff, and like there was a enormous amount of porn being posted on his YouTube account, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, Etika, what are you doing? You better not be trolling, bro. We don't want your account deleted." And he just kept posting it, until eventually, maybe around 8 o'clock my time, it got deleted. Then all of a sudden, Etika on Twitter started ranting about like he can see stars and stuff, like stargazing or whatever. And everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, are you like taking drugs or something?" And like I think his past ex was talking about him just getting high or something. Nobody really knew what was going on until like that very last second. He just went quiet all of a sudden, and that's when everyone started to realize, oh man, he must be just clowning, getting high. He's fine. He may have not committed suicide. He's just doing this for publicity. And we just couldn't really face facts upon it, and we really didn't do much because we thought, hey man, this is just it's Etika. He usually does this stuff for funnies. Ha 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 ha. That's all I have.
Mm, that's understandable. Yeah, I do remember reading up something on that, particularly about him posting porn on his main channel back in, I believe it's October or September of 2018. I believe he posted pornography, and that was what got him removed. Um, then only a few months later, I believe around, not a few months later, about almost a half a year later, in April, he had his second breakdown, which was a lot more, I would say, impactful than the first one. I think the first one was the sign, but when he had his second breakdown, I think that's when everything kind of started going full speed because I remember his second breakdown was in April, and I remember it pretty clearly because I had just finished going through my own mental breakdown only about a couple weeks prior, and similar stuff was going on for me, and I had lost all my friends, and I see Etika. Etika starts trending on my TL, and it's just all this crazy shit. He posted porn on his channel again, and I think he got his second channel removed. And he was just saying all this crazy shit, and he kind of kept doing that until eventually he passed away. He kind of still stayed with this weird thing. Everybody thought he was in a cult or something because he started talking about the revolution and shit like that. And it was pretty fucking weird. And I remember I didn't send him a private message, but I did publicly message him. And I told him it's like, don't do this. Uh, and this is from somebody who had, just had a mental breakdown and stuff. And I said as like, don't do this. You're gonna lose everything you have, man. You'll lose your friends. You'll lose all these things. It's just like it's not worth it. Seek help. Do that stuff. And I know at the grand scheme of things, I knew it wasn't gonna do anything because I'm just a fucking peon at the end of the day. And but it's just like seeing him kind of remove his remove his friends and stuff from his life and kind of just erase them from his own personal life. Part something about that. It was just really fucking. It just made me feel really bad. And then you follow up on these people. I believe Sky Williams and his ex girlfriend Alice, and it's just like even after he blocked them and all that stuff. All they ever did was talk about how great of a guy he was and all that stuff, and that they supported him. And it's just like and it's really sad to see how he went, and inevitably he went and he killed himself. And yeah, especially after all those times he went to the mental ward, it's like it makes you question, like, why did they let him go? Why would they do that? It doesn't make sense. It's clearly he was not well, and because he would keep coming back, you know, because he kept doing crazier and crazier things. I mean, I remember the day he punched a police officer. He punched a police officer because he had just lost himself to that point, and I felt, it was terrifying because it's just like because people were just talking about how this had never happened before, and this was, he was never down for that type of stuff, and then he just goes and punches a police officer, and you have these kids, cheering him on and shit, egging him on, and I think that summarizes the entire situation. Is just, you know, they egged these people. They egged him on. They egged him on with his psychotic, with his psychosis. They kept egging him on until eventually, he couldn't fucking take it anymore. You know, you lose yourself to that type of thing because fame is a very powerful weapon, both both for use, but also its effects on the one that receives it. I think a similar example would be Kurt Cobain, because honestly, the scenarios here are just way too similar for me. Kurt Cobain had a similar situation where he got very famous very quickly, and as a result of that, eventually the fame just got to him, and he ended it. So, I mean, my thoughts on it are just, it's just, it's just, it was just, it's just such a sad way to go. such a really sad way to go out. Yeah, especially for someone like Etika. Etika was like this bright beacon of light, you know, in like this dark world. And I was never. I've watched his videos from time to time, but it's like you can very obviously see his impact on people because so many people seem to have been inspired by. I mean, he was for a bit. He was in popular gamer culture, you know. Yeah, hell, you could literally go by and just see him in something even unrelated to that because he had such an impact on people, and it's just it's so disappointing that it had to end this way. Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's what sucks about it. It sucks that it had to end like this. Yeah. If anybody else would like to make a statement or anything of those kinds, or give their opinion, by all means, I will give. It is now your turn.
I ain't got much to say, dude. I mean, it's like it really hurts, man, just to think about it. You know, to see that it really does. I wish it never happened. I wish we could have done something, but it happened. And hopefully, we learn from our mistakes and make it better.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Iggy. I'm gonna give you permission to talk for just to say your stuff real quick. So go on ahead. I will. Give me a second, and I will. There we
Alright,
go.
and what I gotta say, it's a fucked up shit. Like I just woke up at 11 a.m. and I just looked at my phone and I was like, looked around on YouTube like I usually do, and I just saw that Etika died. I didn't believe it at first, but then I actually looked it up. I was like, oh shit, Etika fucking died. Well, fuck. And that's, I don't know, some weird shit. Or as I always say, some shit happens. All right.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, when I first saw it, I almost couldn't believe it myself because I think a lot of people had a similar reaction to it. What are you doing? Sorry.
That's my opinion. That's fucked up.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had a similar reaction to it because you know, I mean, yeah, to put it bluntly, it's surreal what happened because everybody was hoping that it was just, he was just going to go lay low, try and live life under the radar. That's what I personally hoped for because I figured maybe that'll be the best for him. But when the dead body was found, it was like it just felt like, yeah, yeah, this is gonna be it, isn't it? This is gonna be it, and it wound up being him, and it was just like it was just such a moment of shock because it's always the people who have like the biggest smiles and like the bombastic personalities. It's always those type of people that tend to be the ones that are always holding in all this darkness and and agony and stuff like that. But they never truly show it. But when they do, it's just people laugh at you because they think that you're just joking around. It's just like life. Uh, Not everything that people say is a joke. I know that's hard to believe, especially with today's internet culture and all that stuff. It's like not everything we have, not everything on this planet is a joke. Bad things happen to people. People die. People get sick. And it's just like I wish that things were different, and I think we all do. I think everybody wishes things were different in that regard because if you go on Twitter right now, you'll find people who are supportive, who are mourning and all that stuff, but then you'll find people who are just mocking the situation as if it was a joke. It's just like a man just died. he's dead. He's and he just died. It's not like he's been dead for years or that he's been dead for decades. It's like he just died, and you're gonna go on here and you're gonna make him. It's to me, it's so insulting. It's beyond words. It's just so borderline toxic. It's not even borderline. It's just so toxic and sick. It's just like I can't believe that there are people out there in the world that are like that. That just they look at the world as one massive fucking joke, and it's just like it's disappointing to have to share the world with those type of people. So, does anybody else have anything they want to say? Because we had Sunny, me, Panda, Iggy, G-Tune. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah. All I have
All
to
right.
say is that the situation is very disappointing, that people never took it seriously. And if people did, maybe something could have been done. It also sucks that he couldn't actually get help and that he was just released twice after 2 incidents. And yeah,
I mean, it's not only
rest
that.
easy, I suppose.
I mean, it's not only that. The police barged into his house. They took him in on a stretcher, and he was fucking screaming. Joy-Con. I think he was screaming Joy-Con gods or something. And it's just like is it not clear that this man is not well? That he needs help? Because you hear the phrases, you hear people always like to say it's like get help, and stuff like that. But it's like, what if somebody is so far gone that they don't even know they need it? Because that's what happened here. This man, Etika, Desmond, he was so far gone because the stress of fame had finally gotten to him. It's just, or it had been with him for years, and he finally just couldn't control it anymore, and it's just like, is it not clear that this man needs help? It's like if you go and you see somebody tying a noose, and and then it's just like you ask them, "What are you doing?" It's just like, what do you think they're gonna do? They're tying a noose, and they're standing there with a stool. It's just like, what do you freaking expect? And for me, it's just like I look at this and I look at the fact that people are calling him a clown, making all these jokes and shit. It's just like, what did you think was happening? You look at the public breakdown of a man who isn't. I don't even think he's 30 years old. I don't think he was 30 years old. If he was, then
29 years old, by the way.
Yeah, he wasn't even 30 years old yet. And it's like you're looking at the breakdown of a 29-year-old man, and you're just writhing in it. You're sitting there writhing in it. It's like you're a pig rolling around in mud. You're smothering yourself in it because you want to enjoy it, and that's how sick this world is, and people in it. They go and they see someone suffering, and they're just like, hey, it's time to join the fun gang. And it's just like, it was never funny. It was never funny to begin with. I don't want to be the guy who's like, oh, I'm better than anybody or whatever, because I'm not. But I took this shit seriously from the fucking beginning. When I found out he had his second breakdown, because I didn't know about the first one. When he had his second breakdown, I took that shit seriously. Because mental health is very fucking important. It's not a joke, you know. People kill themselves all the time. Yeah. It, you know, one of the leading causes of death is suicide. Because, you know, people can't handle things because people are imperfect. Our minds are not capable of withholding all the stress and the damage. And I would be lying if I said I hadn't thought of it myself before. Yeah, I have to take medication to keep myself from, you know, from going under because, because you know, you never know. It's like one day, you know, you could be fine, and the next day, you know, you feel like you're under the ocean, you know, you're under the sea floor, and there's nobody there to pull you up. You know, meanwhile there is, but it's just like you can't see it because your mind doesn't want to see it. You can't. And it just for me, you know, this whole thing, it hits very far. It hits very close to home, and I know I'm the one talking the most, and I feel bad because I feel like I'm kind of just repeating myself, and you know, it's really stupid of me. But it's just like, sorry, but it's just like, you know, I just, you know, it could have been anybody. Yeah, it could have been me, it could have been you, you know, it could have been the guy down the street because that's how mental health is. You know, regardless, you know, for me, it was like when they found a dead body in the river, I wasn't happy because regardless of whether it was Etika or not, a dead body floating in the river, that's another person. You know, that's somebody's life. That's an entire life that has just ended because, you know, somebody was, you know, was just too far gone. And that is what I think is the most disappointing thing of all. Is just that nobody, you know, barely anybody took it seriously, you know, and the people that did, he cut out. And of course, you know, what else do you expect? Yeah. So, since we're about halfway done, um, we're going to just discuss mental health in general and discuss anybody's history with mental health here. It could be a relative, it could be yourself if you feel comfortable. I don't want anybody to force themselves to do anything they're not comfortable with. So, anybody who wants to share a story about mental health that they've experienced, by all means, go ahead. I have taken up enough time.
Okay, so I'm currently in the bathroom, so I'll have Ash sing this one. Ash, you remember the time back in maybe I forgot where it was, January or something?
Yeah.
Ash, like
Yeah.
when I went got quiet and stuff, and you and Jacob and everyone started freaking out.
Oh yeah.
Could you like share your perspective of that?
Yeah, I can do that.
Related topic. That's how I got banned. It's actually kind of sad, but I do remember that.
Yeah, so geez, like Panda was like going through some stuff and we were like really worried about it. And so one day we were with him
I was just
and
barely coming back from Las Vegas.
yeah, Dragon was there too. And
I think.
it was like we were just chilling, everyone was there, we were having fun, and then all of a sudden he just kinda gets like really low and he's like, okay guys, I'm leaving, like bye. And then we were like, wait, where are you going? Like what are you doing? And then he just leaves out of nowhere. So we were like, what the heck happened? So we had assumed that he was going to kill himself. And so we started freaking out and we were like getting the cops over to his house and stuff and looking for him because we legit thought he was about to die. So they broke in and they went into his house, but the thing is that he wasn't there. And I was freaking out too because I was like, well, what the heck happened to him? Like, usually doesn't happen. What's going on? I was just so confused. And then they get in there and he's not even there, completely empty. And it turns out we went to the wrong house. And I remember he told me earlier that day he was going to a different house. and I totally forgot. So basically, because I forgot, and I had assumed that he went back to that house instead of the other one, that he was not, like, he was still there. So they broke into the wrong house. So then the cops came over and they talked to him and stuff, but he was fine. He was just going to bed, so we felt like a bunch of idiots, and it was just so embarrassing and emotional. It was bad, and we knew we messed up, and we just jumped the gun too fast. And I felt like I pretty much just ruined it because I forgot that he wasn't at the right house.
And in turn with that, I got kicked from the server.
Yeah.
That's why you never make jokes at the wrong time.
Indeed.
Yeah, like I have a series of like mental problems that I went through that mainly really heavily impacted me like in the current year and like a couple years ago. Like I wish Red was here because he can like tell some perspective on it. And I also have like a couple more friends that were worried about that. And yeah, like I can share more, but like I'm kind of busy right now, so I'll just let someone else share their stuff.
G-Tune, do you have any stories of mental health, or if you don't feel comfortable, you can just pass?
Sort of, actually. A few of my family members have had issues with mental health, and actually, someone in this neighborhood actually committed suicide not that long ago, and that's probably what's impacted this situation the most, is that, like, I've thought about things like this for a while, and about suicide and whatnot, and, you know, it hit really close to home because actually I realized that it could be anyone, like you've said, Bob, and it's really just like anyone, even someone you don't know, just. And it was actually one of our friends, actually. It's They were close to them. I think it was like a cousin of a friend.
I'm
or
very
something.
sorry.
Yeah, we didn't even know them that well, but it's really upsetting. Yeah, that's basically all I have to say. Personally, I haven't had any mental health issues, but yeah, people close to me have, and it really sucks.
That's understandable. I guess I'll share a story for myself because I am diagnosed with a form of depression. I believe. Well, my therapist, who is also a psychologist, um, he diagnosed me with PTSD that leads to depression. To summarize, I made a really bad mistake back when I was 12 years old. I don't think that's the sole reason for my problems, but it is a very big factor. And I made a very big mistake, and not going to go into detail because, well, that information is for me. And I'd rather not share that on here. So I'm not going to go into detail. But to summarize, I was going through puberty, and I had made a really big mistake that to this day I have problems with. And I go to therapy for it at least almost once every week. I go to therapy for it. And I started last year around winter. I think it was January. That was after about after about 5 years of more or less not dealing with it properly, not talking about it, not trying to fix this problem, you know, not trying to do anything. It just, eventually, I went to the therapy, and I met my doctor, Dr. P, and because I don't want to give out his full name, but I met, and for about the past year, he's been helping me out, and I've been seeing some progress. I'm finally able to admit that the thing that I did was a mistake, and that I never did it again, and that I can try and move past it, because that's what I have to do. But for years and years, I've always thought about ending it, about just erasing myself, because I never felt I was worth it. I couldn't love myself because I thought I was ugly. I thought I was I thought I was obnoxious. I thought I was a really terrible person. I thought all these really terrible things about myself, and to some extent I still do, but it's a lot better now. I mean, you go through high school thinking all these things, and I had friends that they were kind to me, but I don't think they ever truly understood, you know, the gravity of it, because I
Yeah.
guess I don't think I ever truly understood the gravity of it. So, to some extent, some of the things they said, you know, only deepened my issues and made me feel worse about myself. And I know they didn't mean it at the end of the day, because, it's high school, so well, it's to be expected, you know. But you get called all these things, You get called, it really hurts when somebody looks at you and just says, "Oh, it's Mr. Child Molester," or whatever, because of your physical appearance, you know. And they
Jeez,
make
dude.
jokes like that, and it's just like, it really hurts, because who wants to be a fucking child molester? Who wants to be compared to that? You know, that's that's fucking devastating. Yeah. And it's just like, usually I'd shrug it off and all that shit, but it's just like, deep down it fucking hurt, and it hurt a lot, and it just made me think about it. I've done things to myself, that that, a lot of people have probably done, you know, very stupid things that just, nobody should do to themselves. You know, I'm not going to go into detail either on that, because there's no need. But, you know, you just, and I would wind up comparing myself to a dog, because that's how I looked at myself. And, you know, there are just people with that who are like that out there in the world. And unlike me, they weren't lucky. They weren't lucky to have, I guess, the safety net I have, because I have my parents who were able to get me into therapy, and who care enough and who love me enough to to help me and stuff. And I had friends. uh, that's a different story that I fucked up really bad. But you know I'm just lucky to have that safety net, because I don't think I'd be here if I didn't. Because if you when you've hit that point when you can't care for yourself anymore, or when you see yourself as your own enemy, you just can't. You know, it's sometimes it's really hard for me to even get up in the morning, to wake up. I have had days where I will just lay down in my bed until I have to go to work. I won't even get up to eat. I just sit there and I just lay down. I'm on my phone, and I don't move. and that's not healthy for anybody. Yeah, it's not healthy for my parents. It's not healthy for me. Yeah, it's just all it is just it's just a void where nothing happens and nothing matters. Yeah, it's just I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate being at that low. And, I can imagine for other people who have it worse than I do that that low is so unbearable for them that they end it. Instead of trying to instead it's not like they can try. It's just instead of being able to see on the brighter side, but even then it's not their fault. How can you see the bright side of yourself when all you see is fucking darkness? And that's what I think people need to understand. People with mental health problems, especially when they're really far gone, there is no way for them to get help on their own. It doesn't matter if they're an adult. It doesn't matter, what age they are. If they are so far gone, they're not going to realize that they need that help. And so it is the responsibility of others. That's why with Sonny and Iggy, with your story about trying to, while I do understand it can be a little embarrassing, at the end of the day, what it proves to me, and I think what it proves overall, is that you care so much about your friend that you're willing to go that extra mile to make sure that they're alive. And I think that's what matters. Yeah, it was embarrassing because it was a mistake, and it didn't wind up being what you thought it was. But it was like, imagine if it was.
Yeah.
Imagine if it was, because at that point, I tell you, you wouldn't be disappointed. You would have been glad that you called and that you did what you did.
Yeah.
Because that's because you could have saved a life. And that's what I think people need to understand. People with mental health problems, some of them can get out of it on their own. Most of them can't. And you need medication, you need therapy, and I remember I remember, and this is related still, but I had to give a speech or a presentation during my English 101 class last semester, and my presentation was about depression and suicide. And the whole thing was about that the primary percentage of people who commit suicide in America, at the very least, are middle-aged white men. Surprisingly enough, it isn't, it isn't, female teenagers, despite, how that's kind of the common. But even then, that's not denying that is a group of people that, that probably has some of the most amount of mental health problems in this country, like anorexia and stuff like that, that that needs to be addressed and they need help. But the biggest group of people that kills themselves in this country are middle-aged men. And to some extent, it's just like, for me, that could be my dad. That that could be my dad, my uncle, and all that stuff. And the last thing I'd want for them is to kill themselves. So my solution, because we were supposed to give a solution to the problem. My solution was that if we made therapy a mandatory part of the American life, that everybody goes to therapy and it's prepaid so that they don't have to pay these expensive, fees and whatnot, that maybe that way we can prevent more suicides from happening. We can keep people alive, that would otherwise not be here. And, I remember just, the feeling, when I gave that presentation, because I believed what I was saying was right, and I still do. I believe that in this country we need it, because if we're going to become a more accepting world, if we're going to become a world that understands, then we need to put that understanding into places, involving the deeper parts of the human psyche. Because every human is unique, every problem is unique for each human. Not everything is the same. And in order to get through problems, you need to do group thinking, so that we can work around it. So, my thoughts in general are just, if you see someone that needs help, you help them. It's the same process. You see an old lady crossing the road, you help the old lady to the other side. So if you see somebody having mental problems, and they don't know how to get through it, you help get them to the other side before they get themselves to the other side. So that's going to be my summary for that. If nobody else has anything they want to say, or we can end the podcast here.
Okay, so here's my whole perspective of my mental health currently. So this, like, I don't know, it was like a really, really happy neutral guy. Like, nothing would get to me. Maybe Iggy made some jokes that kind of made me feel bad, and then I just like shrug it off like it was nothing.
I mean, that's all I knew
Like-
him. That's all. I mean, I'm gonna be honest right here. I don't really know what to say, so you can keep on going.
Anyway, yeah, like I knew he really didn't mean it, and I meant all of my insults to him. But yeah, we couldn't
And
really
then when
like.
he took it too far, I'd fucking get mad at him,
Yeah,
and I'd actually lash out at him, and it was worth it because I liked it. Because I'm fucked up like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we should just lash out at each other like we were just friends. And I didn't really take it into consideration about feelings because, like edgy 13-year-olds feelings are for fat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like feelings are for girls and stuff. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
I was like icky.
Yeah. And so, like, I don't know, maybe when I was like 15, I started to realize, like, I started looking back, like, hey man, like most of the people in your class back in 8th grade really didn't like you. Like they just insult you, call you lonely, and like just for being like happy-go-lucky and being myself, I was called gay for some reason. And I never understood like why everyone would just avoid me for some reason. And then now I realize like, hey man, these people are like seriously not liking you. And the people who did like me were like my friends for most of that year, but eventually left to different schools or just like hanging out with their different friends now. And it just stood out to me. I started getting sad, emotional, then figured out like, hey man, maybe this world really isn't worth it at this point. And I thought like the whole world's going to go in against you anyways for being yourself. happy-go-lucky. And so, like, I just really just changed my personality when I got into high school. And then oncoming, like, during the summer times, I finished my freshman year. It was, like, during sophomore years when, like, everything just started kicking in. I started looking around, seeing everyone just, like, being happy, like, gaining friends easily. And I'm just here, like, oh, man, my studies are more important. And, like, all I did ever was just get, like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, maybe getting pressured into getting good grades. Because, like, the internet's all I have for, like, friends. Like, back then. Because nobody really wanted to hang out. I usually just, like, stayed in my room, just played, like, Minecraft or Fortnite with Iggy and my other cousin. That's all I did. It wasn't until, like, maybe junior year when stuff started getting serious and I started having, like, breakdowns a lot.
Yeah, I was
Especially when I started,
shit.
especially when I started my whole Splatoon 2 clan, and I got everyone worried. It was not. I was like on the verge of suicide once when I first got my heart broken, and I was like, this ain't worth it. After a long talk with my friends on, like, Discord and stuff, I just started to realize, like, hey man, hoes ain't loyal. Screw it all. And just went nor continued my life. It was hard just, like, walking forward between that point and then something else happened I can't remember, but I didn't really do anything. I just kind of
All right.
hold on. I'm still talking. I just need to settle something.
Okay. Right, we're gonna wait for a little bit until he's done muting himself. So just take that.
Okay, sorry, my little sister came in our room. I just don't want the family to hear. And yeah, I forgot what happened, but, like, it just really hurt me, and I just kind of just caved in and told everyone to screw off and just leave me alone. Then I finally came back, and then that's when I got diagnosed with, I can't remember what it was, but, like, on most days I'd be like my mental health would be fine, then I would switch to not fine, then switch back. I can't remember. I think it was like bipolar mood swings or something.
Sorry.
And then that's when I really started to understand, hey man, you have a mental disease. It's not serious, but you should probably go check it out. And then yeah. And that's when I got diagnosed with, like, minor depression. I was like, this is probably normal since, I'm a teen going through high school. Stuff is starting to get pressured on you, college, especially in this society. Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah. And then finally, junior year is when things started to stop. I started looking on the brighter side. Then all of a sudden, I met, like, actual friends, like Ashton over here. Like, we just met, just talking about, like, our favorite anime and stuff, and I realized, like, hey man, this kid's kind of like me. I should hang out with him more. And then we just kind of just formed a social link. And then nothing really happened. And we just started hanging out a lot. And then I just started having a breakdown again, saying, oh man, he's probably not my real friend. You'll probably not get real friends. And I just thought negative. But then when I seen like the concern on everyone's face, when I had like my friend Orange like just break into my house and try to figure where I was, and then like have Ashton just there saying, "Dude, I'm glad you're okay." That's when I started beginning to know, hey man, these guys are really caring of you. And then stuff just happened after that. Now I'm just like going back and forth saying, man, all these mental breakdowns were just dumb. And then now I'm just reflecting on life. And sometimes they'll say like jokes like, oh man, these hoes ain't loyal. And like hoes mad a lot.
The hoes
And I
aren't
really
loyal.
do. The hoes aren't loyal. And now I just like make funny jokes about myself. Because like I know they're true, but at the same time, like I have to keep positive to myself. Usually when I think about me, I don't think positive as like other people. What I usually do is like put other people ahead of me first before I ever thought about thinking myself. And I kind of think maybe that's one of the reasons why I started becoming like more depressed lately. And I don't know, maybe I just need to think about myself more positively and have an open mind to stuff. Because certain stuff I get really offended with, and I'm like really overprotected of some people, and I just really wish I could think the way other people think of me, just amazing and lovable and caring. I don't. It's just my mind can't comprehend like how am I so like friendly and stuff, and I can't even realize, hey man, that's you. You should think more positive of yourself. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but that's all I can think about is just negative things about me, just to keep it even with everybody. What I used to do was like think on the negative side of things, like, oh man, you're probably not going to win this, so if you enter anyway, it's going to be a lost cause. Or, just like straight up, hey man, you're probably going to fail this test, so just do it anyway. I have that problem a lot. I really want to fix it, but I just can't due to past experiences I've had. I'm not going to get into those because those are like pretty personal. But yeah, I'm just going to say that promises have been broken and I've been lied to a lot. And due to that, I just kind of think negatively like, oh man, this ain't going to happen. And I think that's about it, unless Etika wants to go into more detail with this, of like what he thinks of me.
Well, dude, it's always been the same. You're my friend and I care about you. And, dude, I'll always be there for you, dude. Because, I mean, I got nothing better to do. Like, all I used to do was sit in my room all day, like, doing nothing. No friends, no nothing. I was just basically a loner, and my family was just like, dude, you sit in your room all day and do nothing, and, what are you gonna do?
Whoa, Donna, whoa! Oh, sorry.
What's going on in the background? What the heck? But, yeah, dude. I mean, I got you, Johnny, all of you. I mean, I wouldn't sell that for anything, dude.
Thanks, man.
Well,
Ugh.
if nobody has anything else to say, also, it's okay, Iggy, it was just an accident. If nobody has anything else to say, I'm going to wrap it up. So, we're not going to put our social media stuff into the description. Everything in the description is going to be links to the various petitions that have been made in Etika's honor, for his grave and for his channel to be restored. I'm also going to be putting the GoFundMe for his funeral in the description, as well as the various phone numbers for suicide prevention hotlines. Please, if you are ever feeling like you're going, that you're going downhill, there's nothing left, that your life isn't worth it, trust me, it is. Someone out there, they need you. They need you. And this world is not going to be the same without you. Your life matters. So please, if you know that you're heading in that direction, if you can realize it, or if you know that a friend is going down that path, please call one of the numbers on the screen and in the description and get help as soon as possible. Thank you so much for listening to this special episode of Dogecast. I hope we'll see you next time with a slightly less depressing subject matter. But thank you
But
so
hold
much.
up.
Huh?
Before we end, I'd just like to say, like, everyone just take care of yourself. Like what Bob said was really true. Everyone just really needs help sometimes. Like give your family members a hug, tell them you love them, and just straight up just move on from the situation. And like in the words of Etika, just like have yourself a damn good one, because Lord knows he would want us to have a good one too, especially after this whole thing. We really are gonna miss you, Etika.
Well, I guess I'll make one final statement. Etika, Desmond, wherever you are, wherever you are outside of this existence, just know that you impacted so many people. You changed so many people's lives. And I just want you to know, and we here at Dogecast want you to know, that your life was worth it till the very end. And we are very appreciative of your work. So, in honor of you, we won't be releasing this episode until a week has passed. So, thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Etika, for everything you've done. And good night.